Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 16 and compare it against the Google Pixel 9 and see how they both compare. Now, the big thing you're going to have to keep in mind is that both of these phones are currently being sold brand new. The Pixel 9 is just slightly older than the iPhone 16, so because of that, there is going to be a slight price difference in the used market. But beyond that, both these phones are really great. We're really comparing like the Android version and the iOS version of the same type of phone, if I'm being honest. Like there's so many similarities here, and we'll talk about that throughout this whole entire video. But if you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, you can see that on the front of the Google Pixel 9, you're basically getting a very, very good 6.3-inch OLED display. It's 120 Hz, 2700 nits of brightness, and it's a good looking panel. It's 1080p, and overall, I don't really have like too many insane things to complain about this particular, but I think it's a very good phone when it kind of comes down to it, and it's a good display. And I feel like if you're going to go through and pick up a phone like this, I definitely do think you're going to be getting a pretty good experience. And I think this in and of itself is a really nice thing going on here, because if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, you can get a pretty good experience with a device like this, which again is really, really nice to have. So if you're going to go and pick up a Pixel 9, I mean, this is a really good option. Now on the iPhone 16, on the other hand, this phone is giving you a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this thing is slightly smaller, the resolution is higher, but there's a few things going on with the iPhone 16's display that I'm not really that big of a fan of compared to the newer competition like the Pixel 9. So for one, you're missing out on a 120 Hz panel. It's only 60 Hz on this type of display. But on top of that, with the iPhone 16, you're only getting 2000 nits of brightness, which is still good, but a majority of panels like on the Pixel 9 is giving you 2700 nits of brightness. So those phones are giving you brighter displays and everything, and I do feel like this in and of itself is kind of a disadvantage somewhat on something like the Google Pixel, on something like the iPhone 16 in my personal opinion. So again, not the biggest deal in the world, but just one of those small things to kind of keep in mind there. Now on top of that, on the bottom, both of these phones are giving you USB Type-C ports, which is great. I love having USB-C, and it's still a really, really nice thing going on for this type of phone. You're getting flat sides on the sides of both of them, which is really nice to have. And on top of that, on the back side, actually on the iPhone 16, you are getting that camera button, which is really nice to have. On the back side of both, you're getting a frosted glass back on the iPhone 16, with the Pixel 9 is giving you the standard glass back, which still feels very good. I still think it's a very, very premium feeling back. But definitely on something like the, iPhone 16, I think this phone might have the premium feeling back on the backside when it kind of comes down to it. Now on top of that, when it comes down to the cameras, dual camera setups on both, which again is a very nice thing to have. I love having dual cameras, and you're basically getting that on both these phones, which is really, really cool. Now on top of that, if you kind of take a look at some of the exterior features, you're getting wireless charging on both. You're getting MagSafe capability on the iPhone 16, but one of the issues that you're kind of getting on the iPhone 16 is that there's no reverse wireless charging on that phone. Whereas on something like the Google Pixel 9, you are getting reverse wireless charging. So it's one of those weird things where I don't really understand why Google isn't giving us this extra type of capability, or why Apple isn't giving us this type of capability. I feel like there could be some improvements here for the most part, and it's just a really weird thing. So we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see what ends up happening here. But I do think when it kind of comes down to it, like I said before, both these phones are great and everything like that, but I do think the iPhone 16 feels great. It feels more premium than the Pixel 9, but I think the Pixel 9 is probably giving us the overall better experience in terms of flagship type of experiences. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. Now in terms of the camera setups, both these phones are giving you dual camera setups, wide and ultra wide cameras. The megapixel counts are kind of all over the place, but the important stuff is, one, you're getting 4K at 60 on the front and the back, which is great, but also you're getting this ultra wide capability on the front of the Google Pixel 9. So that is a really, really nice thing to have. And as I stated before, if you're going to go through and if you're going to pick up a phone, it is a really nice thing to basically be having that type of capability of having an ultra wide camera on the front. And I do think this in and of itself is a really cool thing going on for this type of phone. So this in and of itself, once again, just one of those big things to kind of keep in mind here. I think if you're going to go ahead and pick up a phone, I think the Google Pixel 9's camera is actually very good. And I think the iPhone 16's camera is also very, very good as well. Like that type of phone is going to be giving you some really good type of capability. And I do think this in and of itself is a very, very nice thing. But the big thing to keep in mind here too is that with something like the iPhone 16, this type of camera is still very solid. You know, you're still getting really good filming capability. You're getting a really good quality camera for the most part. And I think the Pixel 9 is great too. These are very similar in a lot of ways. And the thing is that if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, you're really not going to be missing out on too many things here. Like, I feel like they're going to be very, very similar all over the place. But I would probably say, like, if I'm going to look at a phone, potentially the Pixel 9 might end up giving you that better type of capability here and there, of giving you a more solid phone when it kind of comes down to it in terms of the cameras. So that kind of covers it up there too. Now on top of that, some other big things to keep in mind, you're also getting very long lasting phones on both. So both these phones are going to be, supported for a long period of time between both these phones, which is a really nice thing to have. So if you're going to go through and pick up something like a Google Pixel 9, you're going to be getting a phone that's going to be lasting you like up to 7 years of software and security updates. And the same thing with the iPhone, right? The iPhone 16 is also going to be lasting you for quite a few years, which again is a very nice thing to have. And you can, easily buy that phone and still have a phone that's going to be supported for many, many years to come, which is really cool. So either way you go, you're going to be getting a phone that's going to be lasting for a long period of time. And that is something that's really, really nice to have. On top of that, when it comes down to the whole entire, basically the performance side of things, you're going to be getting kind of a mixed bag here when it comes down to a few things here too. So number one, you're going to be getting that Google Tensor G4 chipset inside of the Google Pixel 9 with 12 gigabytes of RAM. Whereas on the iPhone 16, you're getting the Apple A18 chip inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM here. So this is another one of those interesting things to kind of keep in mind here as well. Because when it kind of comes down to the performance side, you're probably going to be in a situation where the performance of a phone like the Google Pixel 9 can give you more RAM and can kind of give you a more powerful type of phone than something like the iPhone 16 in some ways. Now, I've heard this case before where it's like, oh, if you get a phone that has, if you get an iPhone that has less RAM, it can still perform as well as the newer phones. Like, that might be true. That might be a good point. But I will say in most cases, when you're missing out on things like a 120 Hz display, when you're not getting as much RAM, those types of things start to add up. And I will tell you, in my personal opinion, it is a much better advantage, and you're kind of in a much better situation if you're able to go and buy a phone that's going to be giving you more RAM and more power. And I do think in some ways the Google Pixel 9 might be the phone that's able to give you more power and just more capability here and there. Whereas I do think on the iPhone side, like on the iPhone 16, you're probably going to be getting a smooth phone that's going to be able to, handle a lot of stuff you throw at it there too. But I would probably tell you that on the Pixel 9 side, that might be the better performing phone for the most part, at least from what I've tested. So what I can probably tell you to kind of sum up this video, I think both these phones are great. Right? I genuinely don't think you can go wrong with either one of these phones, but I would probably tell you if you're going to go through and pick up a specific phone, I think, there's not really a clear answer here. If you like Android, go for the Pixel 9. If you like iPhones, go for the iPhone 16. But I do think there are lots of more flagship features inside of the Google Pixel 9. So I think with the Pixel 9, you're able to get that type of, you're getting a phone that gives you 120 Hz display, higher refresh rate, way more RAM than the iPhone 16, and reverse wireless charging. Those things are really cool to have, and the iPhone is basically missing out on both of those things, or 3 of those things. So take it as you will, but that's kind of how I see this phone kind of comparing against the iPhone 16 and the Pixel 9. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.